The room is bathed in a warm golden glow from the sun setting. She was lying on the bed, a soft smile playing on her lips as she gazed at their wedding photo. The photo captured their love and happiness on that special day. As one reminisces, she can't help but miss them, especially since he's been away on a business trip for past 5 days. She longs for his comforting presence and can't wait for him to return in 15 days. Just in 2 months, she became so fond of him that she couldn't even imagine her life without him. He is the most soft and kind-hearted person she has ever met. The doorbell rang, breaking the chains of her thoughts. She kept away the photo and made her way to open the door. As soon as she opened the door, a frown took place on her face, and then it turned into a smile. "Uni, come in," she said with surprise and moved aside. Vera stepped inside, rolling her eyes. Wine closed the door and went behind her. Vera sat on the couch. "Should I bring you coffee?" she asked in a cheerful voice. Wine felt really happy seeing Vera. Since she got married, Vera has always been rude and distant with her. Mr. and Mrs. Kim are really sweet. Vera's behavior is totally different with her, which she can't understand. "Sit here, I want to talk to you about something," she said in a serious tone. Wine sighed confusingly. "What do you want to talk about?" Vera leaned on the couch and spoke. "Why don't you leave my brother?" she said, taking her by surprise. "What?" Wine asked in a low tone. "I said, why don't you leave him? Get out of his life. He has kept you in dark," she said in a casual tone. Wine gulped the lump in her throat. "Uni, why would you say that? He's not keeping me in the dark. He loves me, that's why he married me, you know that." She composed herself. Vera chuckled, throwing her head back. "You're too naive. He has lied to you. He married you to take my revenge from you, to break you just like your alcoholic brother Sebastian did to me." Hatred raced through her voice. "Sebastian, how do you know him?" Vera slid out her phone and handed it to her. Those were the pictures of Vera and Sebastian and their chat. One stared at them with disbelief. "He was my boyfriend. He just used me to fulfill his needs. After I was useless to him, he left me devastated. I attempted suicide, but I was saved. Th wanted to break you and get my revenge. He will divorce you and marry Sophia." She muttered through gritted teeth. Tears pulled in Wine's eyes. "You're lying. Sebastian might have done it to you, but Th can't be like him. He can't betray me. I trust him. You're lying." She cupped away her phone, shaking her head in denial. Vera let out a sigh and picked up her phone. "Will you believe it if Th says it by himself?" Wine stared at her, biting her lower lip. Vera dialed Th's number and kept it on speaker. After 2 rings, Th attended the call. "Hello, Vera." Wine's heartbeat raced, hearing his deep voice. "Th, I will ask you something. Answer me clearly. What happened? You are acting strange." "You are acting strange, Th. Didn't you marry Wine for revenge? Why is she still with you? Why haven't you divorced her?" Wine held the hem of her shirt as her hands trembled. Th went silent for a few moments. "Vera, we'll talk about it later. Vera interrupted him. "No, Th, tell me, didn't you marry her to get revenge on Sebastian? Did you forget your sister's pain?" Wine felt her heart drop into her feet. "I did, Vera, and I remember each and everything Sebastian did to you. I'll make it right, don't worry." But Vera cut him off while smiling at Wine, whose face was drenched with tears while she was staring at the phone with disbelief. "That's all I wanted to know. You must be busy, bye." She declined the call and stood. "Did you hear it?" Th said it very clearly. "I suggest you leave quietly if you have any self-respect left." She stormed out. Wine stared at the floor blankly. She was sobbing inaudibly. Her breath became uneven while she felt a pain in her chest. She clenched her chest and cried, falling on the sofa. She closed her eyes while, with the passing seconds, her sobs stopped. Handscape. Wine opened her eyes but closed again due to the bright light. After blinking for a while, she looked around the room, which seemed to be the hospital. She sat and leaned on the bed, reminding what had happened. She remembered Vera had come. She talked to him and left while Wine passed out. It was night. She woke up, went to her room and picked up her phone to call him and ask him if what he said was true or not, but a notification popped, grabbing her attention. She clicked it and saw the news. Kim family officially announced 𝐘𝐮𝐬's wedding with Sophia. She slid out her wedding ring, kept it with their wedding picture and left the house. She was crying, walking on the road aimlessly when she felt dizzy and stood between the road. She saw the headlights of the car coming in her direction. The last thing she remembered was a familiar figure coming towards her while calling her name. Thank God you're up. Wine snapped back to the present and looked at the direction of the voice. Nick, she said with surprise. Yes, dear cousin. Last night you fell unconscious in front of my car, he said beside her. When did you come back? A week ago, I ended up my business there and relocated here. Really? That means you'll stay here. Mom would be very happy, she said with a smile. Nick flicked her forehead. She knows it. Wang rubbed her forehead, glaring at him. Nick chuckled with a shrug. By the way, your parents will be here soon. I informed them about you. What, you shouldn't have told them, they will be worried, she said, staring at her palms. Wang, what were you doing on the road all alone last night, that too in this condition? He spoke in a serious tone. What condition? She asked confusingly. Silly girl, you're 5 weeks pregnant. Where is your husband? Wang stared at him in a state of shock. Wang, you're pregnant. We will be having grandchildren, she exclaimed as soon as she entered. Mom, Dad, she whispered, placing her hand on her belly. Mrs. 𝐘𝐻 embraced her in a warm hug. I'm so happy for you, she said with a smile and kissed her forehead, pulling out. As Mr. 𝐘𝐻 hugged her, she broke into tears. Hey, what happened? Why are you crying? He said, rubbing her back. Why did you inform them? Wine pulled out, wiping her tears, while Mr. 𝐘𝐻 also paused her a questioning gaze. Mom, Dad, she said in a barely audible voice. Thank. She then told them everything. Both of them were in shock. But Wine is not that kind of person. He's really sweet. You must have misunderstood him. Mr. 𝐘𝐻 was holding her hands gently. I know, Mom, I don't want to believe it either, but I heard it with my own ears and the news. You might be missing something, Wine. Nick, who was standing quiet for so long, spoke. I wish I'm missing something because this is very hard for me to accept. I can't live without him. She mumbled, hiding her face in her hands. Wine, stop crying. It's not good for your health. She hugged her. It's all because of Sebastian. Our unconditional love spoiled him. Well, I must leave. You can have your family time. And yeah, I'll find Sebastian. Nick spoke and bid them farewell. Wine placed her head on Mr. 𝐘𝐻's shoulder. Dad, Mom, she whispered, they hummed in response. How will I raise my child alone? What if I couldn't be a good parent? Mrs. 𝐘𝐻 held her face and tilted her head. Your parents are with you, Wine. You don't have to worry about anything. We'll get through this together. She nodded with a weak smile. 4 months later. These 4 months have been the hardest for Wine. Throwing up and morning sickness has made her irritated. All this time, her parents didn't leave her side. She was determined to find a job, but her dad stopped her, saying, it would be shameful for me to let my daughter work in this condition. If I let you work, then what am I for? Nick has been busy with his business, so he barely comes to meet them, while he is also in search for Sebastian. A few days ago, Wine received an invitation to 𝐶𝐻's wedding. Now she wore a beautiful knee-length navy blue colored frock, rolled her hair and let it open with light makeup. Wine, are you sure you want to go to his wedding? Mrs. 𝐘𝐻 worriedly asked, coming towards her, followed by Mr. 𝐘𝐻. Yes, Mom, I want to go. I want to see how much courage I have and how much can I bear, she said, trying hard to smile. Wine, this way you will just hurt yourself. Your dad is right, Wine. Will you be able to see him being someone else? Wine lowered her head, biting her quivering lips. Let's see how strong I am. She composed herself and passed them a smile. Mr. 𝐘𝐻 let out a sigh and stepped forward. Fine, I'll drop you and I'll be waiting for you out there, and yeah, stay away from that Vera, she seems crazy. Wine nodded. He kissed her forehead. They bid farewell to Mrs. 𝐘𝐻 and walked out. Landscape. Wine reached the venue with a trembling heart. It was adorned with delicate flowers, scaling from the ceiling and lining the aisle. Soft candlelight flickers on the tables, creating a warm and romantic ambience. Spontaneously, she looked to her left. The world seemed to stop around her. Their 𝐶𝐻 was well dressed in a tuxedo. He was talking to someone when his eyes met Wine's. For a moment, Wine felt the same affection and fondness in his gaze. Maybe it was her illusion, because the next moment, it was as cold as ice. His gaze landed on her baby bump, which was quite visible. Wine saw different kinds of emotion in his eyes, but she couldn't name it. Mr. 𝐘𝐻 came to 𝐶𝐻 and said something in his ear, snapping him to reality. He nodded and walked away while Mr. and Mrs. 𝐘𝐻 passed by Wine, but it was as if she was invisible to them. The waiter came and offered her the juice. She picked up a glass and sat on the chair while the waiter walked away, showing thumbs up to someone. Soon the music was turned on while Sophia, She felt her heart torn apart as Sophia went closer. Heartbreak pierced her chest as if her world had shattered into millions of pieces. 𝐿𝐞𝐿 held Sophia's hand. Betrayal gnawed her soul, leaving her feeling lost and abandoned. 𝐿𝐞 released Sophia's hand. He seemed to be a different person. 𝐿𝐞 was staring at 𝐌𝐚𝐫𝐫𝐢𝐞𝐝. The priest began announcing the wedding vows. Something behind 𝐌𝐚 grabbed his attention. He looked away from her and held Sophia's hands. 𝐌𝐚 gulped the juice in one go and stood. Her vision blurred as she heard him say, "I do." Tears rolled down her eyes. She turned around with trembling feet. Everything seemed to fade away. The guests cheered while the hall echoed with the applause, but it was deaf to 𝐼𝐚. She felt the pain arising in her chest as each word rang in her mind. "As we embark on this beautiful journey together, I promise to love you and cherish you every single day. You will never face life challenges alone. Together we can conquer anything." She made her way to the backyard while 𝐿𝐞 noticed Vera just saying something to the waiter. "Sophia, will you please keep Vera busy? I want to check on 𝐼𝐚." "Sure," she said with an assuring smile and called Vera while gesturing something to someone. 𝐿𝐞 excused himself while the hall was filled with the media. 𝐼𝐚 sat on the grass while sobbing. "You are a liar, you cheated me," she whispered. "I hate you, 𝐿𝐞, I hate you so much." She yelled and grabbed her hair like a maniac. No one was around or they would have surely thought of her as some crazy woman. She cried her heart out, holding her chest, when she suddenly felt dizzy. She tried to stand, feeling someone's presence behind her, but her legs went numb. She felt unconscious, but the last thing she heard was someone talking. 𝐿𝐞 told his guard to follow the waiter. He hid behind the wall in dark and saw 𝐼𝐚 crying, clutching her chest while the waiter quietly stood behind her. James was fast enough to immerse him in conversation and inject him. As the waiter fell unconscious, 𝐿𝐞 swiftly went towards 𝐼𝐚 and held her in his arms. "James, lock him up and make sure Vera doesn't learn about it." "Yes, sir," he said and dragged away the waiter. 𝐿𝐞 adjusted 𝐼𝐚's frame on his lap and wiped her face. He kissed her forehead and hugged her close to his chest. "I missed you so much," he whispered, kissing her crown. He pulled away and placed his hand on her baby bump with a smile. He leaned and kissed her baby bump. "My baby," he mumbled with teary eyes, but then something clicked in his mind. Why is she unconscious? Did Vera spike her drink? Damn it. He muttered and sent a message to James. In 2 minutes, James was in front of him. Take out her phone from her purse and inform her dad that her drink was spiked. Come and take her to the hospital quickly. James nodded and did as 𝐿𝐞 said. "Sir, Mr. Kang is in the parking area. He will be here soon." 𝐿𝐞 nodded and kissed 𝐼𝐚's eyes. "I'll make everything right. Just wait for me," he whispered, looking at her for the last time and laid her on the ground carefully. "I'll be watching from there." James nodded while 𝐿𝐞 hid behind the wall in the dark. In less than a minute, Mr. Kang came hurriedly and took away 𝐼𝐚. As they went away, 𝐿𝐞 felt the darkness enveloping him while he felt horrified by his inner loneliness. Time skip. They called it a day, but 𝐿𝐞 was nowhere. Vera arrived home with Sophia. She was looking for the waiter, but Sophia got her stuck by her side. Now she sent Sophia to 𝐿𝐞's bedroom and came to the living room. Vera was pacing back and forth when the door opened, revealing exhausted 𝐿𝐞. "𝐿𝐞, where were you all the time? Where are Mom and Dad?" she asked, holding his arm. 𝐿𝐞 passed her a dead stare and removed her hand from his arm. "You promised me as long as I do as you said you will not harm 𝐼𝐚 on my child. Then why did you spike her drink? You know it can be harmful to them." His tone was stern while he kept clenching and unclenching his fist as if trying hard to control his rage. Vera let out a sigh and sat on the sofa rubbing her temple. "So you found it. You forced me to do that. I told you to divorce 𝐼𝐚, but you keep making excuses," she said with a shrug. 𝐿𝐞 ran his fingers through his hair. "Stop it, Vera. First you imprisoned Mom and Dad and threatened me to marry Sophia. Now you'll threaten me like this. No, Vera, I will no longer be your puppet. I have hurt her a lot, not anymore." Vera stood and stepped towards him. "You must divorce her, 𝐿𝐞. Did you forget what her brother did to me?" She grabbed his collar. "For God's sake, Vera, go after Sebastian. He had betrayed you. 𝐼𝐚 has nothing to do with it. She is innocent. Spare her." He yelled at her and yanked away her hands. We are family, 𝐊𝐿𝐿. He cut her off. Family, really? Family doesn't do what you have done to mom and dad. He tortured them and imprisoned them for months. Is this what a family do? How can you scoop so low? He wouldn't even hesitate to kill me. When I looked at him with teary eyes and covered his face. No, I can never hurt you. You're my brother. I love you the most in this world. 𝐾𝐮 chuckled bitterly. Hurt? You have hurt me enough or worse than that. You know wine is my everything, yet you are doing this. He let out a deep breath. No matter what you do, Vera, you can't take her out of my heart. We are connected through our souls. You can't separate us, he said, making his way to his room or stopped. Why did you drag Sophia into this? You didn't get a chance to destroy your best friend's life. What about her fiancé? That's none of your business. Where are mom and dad? Out of your reach. You have threatened me enough through them, he said and walked to the guest room, leaving Vera in a deep thought. Few days later, when woke up that night, she could feel hands cologne around her. It was enough to captivate her. She went silent, struggling with her thoughts. Her parents stayed with her at the hospital for 2 days while Nick also came to meet her. The next day, she was discharged when they reached home along with Nick. Their house was set on fire. Nick brought them to his house for a few days. Nick and Wayne's parents had noticed Wayne was quieter than usual. Today Nick insisted on taking her to his office. Wayne denied at first but then agreed, seeing the worry on her parents' faces. Now she was sitting in the meeting room as Nick had an important meeting. Nick was checking the arrangements when Wayne spoke. Why are you so anxious about everything? This is my first project here and 𝐾𝐮 Industries on will be coming. 𝐾𝐮 Industries? She asked with surprise. Nick stood beside her and leaned on the table, patting her head. Yes, 𝐾𝐮 Industries. By the way, Wayne, I found Sebastian. He'll be in front of us soon. Wayne looked at him with teary eyes and stood. She couldn't understand why she felt like crying and angry as well. Hey, stop crying. He embraced her in a warm hug, letting her cry. I swear you look rich while crying, Wayne. In this baby will be a crybaby. Wayne pulled out and glared at him. Nick shrugged his shoulders when began hitting him on the chest. My goodness, I didn't know you were a real witch, he said dramatically, holding her hands. Wayne giggled, making him smile. This was the first time Nick saw her smiling since they met. Smile of friendly Wayne. She stopped and looked at him as she was about to speak. The door knocked, grabbing their attention. Nick held her hand and turned around. Wayne's eyes widened, seeing 𝐊𝐿 along with Sophia. Nick greeted them while Wayne stood froze at her spot. Her grip on Nick's hand tightened. Nick, I'm going to washroom, she said, wiping her forehead. Nick looked at her worriedly. Are you okay? She passed him an assuring smile. Yes, I'll wait in your cabin. Nick nodded, patting her hand. Wayne walked past 𝐊𝐿 without sparing a glance at them. Time skip. Wayne was sitting in Nick's cabin with closed eyes, thinking about what Sophia said when she met her in the washroom. Wayne, please don't get anything wrong. This is a fake marriage, trust me. I'm telling you this because I don't want you to hate me and misunderstand 𝐊𝐿. 𝐊𝐿 loves you a lot, Wayne. I came with him here because Vera had sent us on a date while both of us didn't want to go. I couldn't stay anywhere because her people were scattered everywhere. Just remember one thing, Wayne, this is all Vera's doing. She spoke softly and walked away, leaving her in deep thoughts. Wayne opened her eyes, hearing the door open and close. Nick eyes, she turned towards the door but stopped, seeing 𝐊𝐿 leaning against the door and staring at her intensely. What are you doing? Where is Nick? She asked nervously. 𝐊𝐿 began taking steps towards her, making her step back. Her back pressed against the wall while 𝐊𝐿 stood right before her. What are you doing? Where is Nick? She asked and tried to step past him, but 𝐊𝐿 held her and pinned her against the wall. Wife, your husband is right before you. Stop asking about other people, he said, resting his hand on her cheek. I'm not your wife. Sophia is your wife. 𝐊𝐿 bit his lip to stop his smile. Leave me, I want to talk to Nick. Nick is with my wife. He hissed in pain as Wayne scratched his neck with her nails. She passed him a death stare. You were the one who said. She smiled. She digged her teeth in his shoulder and didn't let him complete. 𝐊𝐿 groaned, holding his shoulder and moved back. Are you Dracula? Does it hurt? She asked, looking at the scratches worriedly. It does. She went closer to him. Where? Let me see. 𝐊𝐿 held her hand Here. One stared at him silently. He let out a sigh and scooped her in his arms. My fear was so heavy, he made her sit on the table. She hit him playfully. That's because of my baby, she said, placing her hand on her baby bump. Our baby, he said, placing his hand over her. I shook her head in denial. You deceived me and got married, she said in a low tone. Then pressed his forehead against her. I swear I didn't deceive you, nor did I get married. That was a fake marriage to get Vera's trust. She had imprisoned and tortured mom and dad. He pulled away while one stared at him in disbelief. He slid out his phone and played a video where his parents were being tortured. How can she do this to her parents? Thank pleased her temper. They are just my parents, not her. She can do anything to them. One passed him a questioning gaze. We had adopted her. But you married me to take revenge from Sebastian. You knew he was my brother since I joined your office. He cupped her face. Did you ever feel my love and affection were fake for you? Have I ever let you feel unloved and unworthy? She shook her head in denial. I already told you I was attracted to you since the first day of your interview. I discovered about Sebastian after I proposed to you. I never intended to take any kind of revenge. Whatever Sebastian did was not your fault. You're innocent, but Vera will never understand this. She was going crazy after discovering about our marriage, so I had to lie to her that I'm marrying you for her revenge, which worked and she stepped back. I thought she'd forget it with the passing time, but she didn't. Gwen held his hands. I'm sorry I misunderstood you. I should be sorry. I have hurt you so much. I couldn't even contact you because Vera had an eye on me. I didn't want her to harm you and baby. He hugged her. They had been longing for this moment since a very long time. Finally they felt at peace. Nick would be waiting, she said, pulling out. He gave us 1 hour and it's been 12 minutes. Still have 48 minutes left. He said, sliding out the ring from his finger. Wine held it. You were wearing it. Thank noticed sliding it in her finger. Don't take it off, he said, kissing her knuckles. I'm hungry, order something. She leaned on his shoulder. What do you want? He slid out his phone. Anything but with cold drink. No cold drinks. He dialed a number, ignoring her whining. Few days later. Since Wine had met Tang, she seems to be the most happiest person. The parents are happy for her. She's been in contact with Tang, but they didn't meet after that. She has been friends with Sophia. Sophia told her about her fiancé, called off the engagement as he doesn't believe Sophia. Wine discovered that Vera had set their house on fire and had spiked her drink. Now Nick had gone somewhere. Mr. and Mrs. King had gone to a wedding while Wine was alone at home. She was craving for something sweet, but she didn't have any at house. So she dialed Nick's number, which was switched off. She thought for a while and dialed Tang's number. On second bell, he attended the call. Hey, I was about to call you. He spoke as soon as he attended the call. Wine chuckled. I was faster. Yes, how are you? He said in a soft tone, making her heart melt. I'm fine, how are you? I'm good. Well, I'm here in the bakery. Do you want something? Yes, please buy all the sweets for me. I'm really craving for it. Not all, I'll bring some. Tang, will you come? She asked, thinking something. Yes, Mrs. Kim, I will be there in 10 minutes. I'm near Nick's house. But Tang, what if Vera only learns about it? She will hurt you. Her voice broke. Tang knew she was being sensitive due to her condition. Wine, you're overthinking. Besides, who will inform her? She's nowhere. But Tang, no one is here at the house. She might be keeping an eye on me. What if she sees you coming here? Tang frowned. You're alone at the house, he asked worriedly. Yes. Why did everyone leave you alone? Can you imagine if Vera is keeping an eye on you? She will risk no second to harm you. Close all the doors and windows. I'll be there in a few minutes. His voice turned dark. Wine nodded as if Tang could see her. She closed the windows of her room and walked to close the main door, but stopped seeing Vera sitting in the living room holding a knife in her hand. A loud gasp escaped Wine's mouth. Wine, what happened? He yelled from the other side of the phone, but the phone fell from her hands. Vera only, she mumbled and stepped back while Vera smirked and stood. Wine rushed towards the door while Vera followed her. Poor Wine and her child will die. Wine shook her head in denial while and the tears streamed down her face. Please spare me, at least for this innocent soul. This is your brother's blood, she pleaded. Vera darkly chuckled. This is your blood, not my brother's. You snatched away my brother from me. His marriage with Sophia was fake. He deceived me just because of you, and your brother played with me. You must pay for everything. She stepped closer. Mine was cornered and pressed against the wall. I didn't know about anything, she whispered while Vera was about to stab her, but mine moved away and strode towards the door. She bumped into a hard chest. As she looked up, her eyes widened. Sebastian, she mumbled while Sebastian cradled her. Wayne, are you okay? He asked worriedly. Wayne nodded while she smiled weakly, nursing his worried tone after so long. Vera, are you out of your mind? He growled while Tham stepped forward, holding Wayne. Tham, take her out. Sebastian, she mumbled surprisingly, then a smile appeared on her face. You made my job easier. Both brother and sister will die together, she said and stepped forward, but Sebastian took out the gun and shot her, while hid her face in Tham's chest. But Tham felt his heart tearing apart, tears pooled in his eyes. I know I have done wrong with you, but we could have told it out. Vera held her abdomen and stared at him with disbelief. Sebastian threw away his gun and stepped closer to her before Vera could fall. He swiftly held her. I'm sorry for everything, he whispered, wiping her face. They called the ambulance while Wayne pulled out and stared at them. Tham, he shot her, she mumbled and looked at Tham. A tear rolled down his eye. The memories of their childhood flashed before his eyes. Will she die? He whispered, looking at Wayne. She swiftly shook her head in denial. She'll be fine, ambulance will be here soon. She wiped his face. Tham hugged her to his chest and hid his face in her hair. I can't see her in this condition, he whispered while Wayne rubbed his back, trying hard to control her own tears. A few months later, all these months Wayne and Tham were each other's supporters and shoulders to lean on. Vera has been in coma since then. Sebastian apologized to everyone. Tham and his family didn't file a case against him. All these months Sebastian has been in hospital with Vera. He was ashamed of what he had done to Vera. Because of his alcohol addiction, he ruined everything. He played with Vera's feelings for money and alcohol and to please himself. Now Tham was pacing back and forth in the hallway as mine was in the delivery room while their parents were sitting and praying. Tham, relax, she'll be fine. Tham looked at them anxiously. Dad, why are they taking so long? It's been more than an hour, he said impatiently. Before anyone could speak, the door opened and the doctor came out with the baby. Congratulations, you're blessed with a baby boy, she said with a smile, holding the baby before them. How is my wife? Can I see her? He asked anxiously while Mrs. Kang took the baby from the doctor. She is fine, we will just shift her to the general ward, then you can meet her. Tham nodded, running his fingers through his hair. Nick, Sophia and Sebastian also arrived. Soon Wayne was shifted to the ward. Tham rushed towards her while everyone was busy with the baby. Are you okay? Does it hurt somewhere? Should I call the doctor? He asked worriedly and covered her face. Wayne smiled. Tham, breathe, I'm fine. Did you see your baby? Tham pressed his forehead against her and shook his head in denial. You didn't hold him? She asked, surprised. No, I was worried about you. I almost forget him. He whispered, kissing her forehead. Go and see him. Tham pulled away and walked towards Sebastian, Nick and Sophia, who were fighting over the baby and trying to snatch him away from each other. Hey, Nick, my poor little kid, he said, taking him away from Sophia, who slapped Nick's arm and mumbled. He took him because of you. Nick passed her a glare. Hey, let's leave them alone. He dragged out Sophia and Nick